to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we are on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio right outside of Washington, D.C. You can also find the show on the major platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you can find us at marketingpulpit.com. Call the show, 1-800-455-7888. Today, we're very, very excited to be here, and thank you again for tuning in from all over the world. Man, I'll tell you what, these Fridays just keep coming, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in from all the different places. And if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. And if you are brand new, then thank you for catching us on this platform. We are a business development show. I'm Robert Gatewood. I am a business developer. I have a company called Gatewood Marketing and Web, and you can find me at gatewoodmarketing.com. I'm also an author. I've written a couple of books, one called Played in Full, one called Smarter Than the Boss. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College in the Washington, D.C. area. And I'm also in the tech space with, I do technology consulting with the Small Business Administration. So I've been out here doing this for a minute. And we got an exciting show lined up for you today. Very exciting show lined up. And you can go to marketingpulpit.com to find out more about the show. Find out, you can listen to past shows and find out what we've been up to for the past 13 years. And yes, we are simulcasting from Radio 1 live at WOL 1450 AM and 95.9 FM. Got a lot going on today. Later in the show, we're going to talk about 'tis the season. That's right. I know every year around this time, people start worrying about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, not Easter Bunny, but the Christmas turkey and ham and customers and what should you be doing this time of year. So we're going to talk about right now things that you should be doing at this particular moment to get yourself ready for the holiday season. Because this is the time when many companies do break even for the first time during the year because of the tremendous amount of spending that takes place this time of year. So we're going to make sure that you have the tools you need to get ready for this holiday season. So you don't want to miss that. We're also going to bring you some items in the news. We like to keep you abreast of what's happening in the news world. So you want to stick around for that. And so we just got a lot going on. We also like to bring you our tech tip. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start my tech tip today. I think last week or the week before, we talked about YouTube and how you need to reach that 100 subscriber threshold to get your own vanity personal URL. Well, there's an update. YouTube now has what they call handles. They've been reaching out to everybody. You may not have gotten your notification yet, but what they're doing, they're notifying all of the people who have YouTube channels and asking them to go ahead and reserve their handle. And your handle will be, if you already have a personalized URL, it was an automatic conversion. But if you don't, just go to YouTube, log into your account, and go ahead and reserve your handle before somebody else gets it. So, and you don't have to have 100 subscribers like we did in the past. So for instance, my address for Marketing Pulpit would be marketingpulpit.com/ then the @ and then Marketing Pulpit. And that makes it easier for people to connect and find you on YouTube, which is a very powerful platform. So that's just an update, a tech update from something we reported in the past. That has been the rule for many years. You had to reach that 100 subscribers to get that personalized URL. That is no longer the case. So YouTube is always evolving. That's why when you're in this tech field, you really have to stay on top of things because things will change on a dime. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuning in online. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Good morning, everybody else who's tuning in. To all the folks out there in Radio Land at Radio 1, 95.9 FM and 1450 AM. Thank you again for tuning in this morning. Let's talk about a couple of items that are in the news. Before we get to that, this is a new month. This is the first Friday of November. And there are some observances during the month of November. It's like today, for instance, is check your blood pressure day. And that's good advice if you eating all that salt and mac ribs and things like that. You want to get that blood pressure checked out. Use your common sense day. Hey, what's not to like about that, right? National Day of Community Service and National Candy Day. You might want to stay away from some of that candy. I know many of you got that Halloween candy kind of stacked up on the kitchen counter. Don't get carried away on that. Also, during this month, we're going to observe Adopt a Turkey Day. No, it's Adopt a Turkey Month. We're going to adopt it all right with some sauce and some and stuffing. American Diabetes Month, Gluten-Free Diet Awareness Month to all the folks that have allergies. National Entrepreneurship Month, hey, right up my alley. National Gratitude Month, well, that's something to be thankful for. National Healthy Skin Month, okay, I can work on that a little bit. National American Heritage Month, all right, those are some observances for the month of November. I'd like to thank our sponsor and partner in this venture, BLE Executive Suites. They have the 3 locations in the Washington, D.C. area. Great, amazing office space. You're talking about the lap of luxury. They have one in National Harbor, right there near the Tanger Outlet, not a couple of steps from the MGM, a couple of steps from the Boardwalk. They also have the one in Largo, Maryland. They have one in College Park, which is a hub zone. You can call them at 301-322-1700 or go to blesuites.com. And anybody who calls in, they can get a free mailbox, which will give you a business address, so you don't have to keep giving out people your home address and things like that. And they're offering this as a part of supporting the WOL family, the business community, and in conjunction with the marketing pulpit. So call them at 301-322-1700 and get that free mailbox for a year. And just tell them that Robert Gatewood from the marketing pulpit told you to call. And that's a great deal, folks. I'm telling you, that's a great deal. Let's see what else is going on. Let's talk about some items in the news quickly. And the news just keeps on coming. Sometimes I feel like we're on a treadmill because we keep hearing the same things over and over again. One piece of news that's kind of new is that there's a turkey shortage coming. Well, that's horrible news. As delicious as the turkey is, and there's going to be a shortage, but that supply between labor shortages and supply chain, you're going to have to, some people may have to rethink their Thanksgiving plans. You may have to eat pizza instead of turkey. Yeah, that's just not quite the same. But what you want to do is go ahead and get that turkey. Go ahead and get it, put it in the freezer. You might buy a frozen one and let it stay in the freezer from now until Thanksgiving. You must have turkey. But on Christmas, Thanksgiving Eve, you may not be able to find a turkey. Amazon is freezing hiring. That's been going on in the tech world. They're cutting back on some of their hiring, and they're not the only one. Apple and Amazon. The ransom payouts have hit $1 billion. The ransom payouts involve people putting ransomware on your computer, on your business account, and then they extort you for some money. And companies are paying these huge amounts of money because they don't want their customer list compromised, and sometimes they'll threaten them to do all kinds of damage. So that is a real problem. You want to make sure you have the basic coverage on your website, things like your SSL certificate, some type of firewall, some type of basic security, and that will keep out the most of the spyware and ransomware. But if these guys decide to get you, they're going to get you, because most small companies, they're not on the radar. They're going after these big companies. So you small companies, you want to protect yourself from things like malware and what we call brute force attack and things like that. But you want to make sure those websites are secure. We're seeing a pandemic learning loss. In other words, because of the pandemic, colleges are seeing kids coming to school. They're not quite ready. They've lost some time. They've lost some learning during this lockdown, and it has become a problem, according to the New York Times. We actually have a client that's going to be coming on the show this month talking about that. And they specialize in helping kids, helping parents who have children who have experienced a learning loss due to the pandemic. And this is their cause celeb, great young lady, Arisha Brown. She's going to be coming on the show and talking about what parents can do to help them recapture or reverse some of this learning loss that has happened as a result of the pandemic. And it is a problem. So we're glad we got somebody on board who can actually help us address this problem. So we're looking forward to that. We'll keep you posted on when she's coming on the show. So thank you. Looking forward to talking to Miss Brown with Good Hope Tutoring. Let's see here. Also, here's an interesting story. Workers are looking for ways to avoid returning to the office. Hmm. It's gotten so bad that according to Google and some of the other platforms, there have been 2 million searches on reasonable excuses to miss work. In other words, people don't want to go back to the office. Can you blame them? I mean, you've been home sitting around in your pajamas for the last 2 years, and all of a sudden, somebody's telling you to jump back out there in that traffic and parking and all the other catching the metro and the cold and the rain. So what's happening, there are some good excuses and there are some not so good excuses. I mean, some good excuses are things like had a car accident or your car won't start, somebody died in your family, personal illness, your child got ill, things like that. But there are some excuses that are not so good. What I'm going to do, I like to test my audience this morning to make sure you guys are on top of things. I'm going to give you a quick test before we go to the break. Now, I'm going to ask you this question just to make sure that you're on top of things so that you don't get in trouble with your boss. Let's just say you just started your job and I'm going to give you a multiple choice and tell me which one of these would be an acceptable reason to give your boss so they're not looking at you sideways. Now, some of these may be true, but they may not make a good excuse. They may not engender your longevity on the job, even though it is true. So the first one, these are reasons that you might give your boss. I'm following up on this article that was in the we saw on LinkedIn about people avoiding or looking for ways to avoid work. So I'm just going to make sure we're ready. We like to keep our audience on top of things. Number one, is this a good reason to give your boss to avoid going to the office? One, you're in jail. Maybe true, but is it a good reason? Okay. Number two, your pit bull has some new puppies. Is that a good reason to avoid going to the office? It may be true, but is it a good reason? Number three, it was the last day of the McRib, and you didn't want to lose your place in line. It may be true, but is it a good reason to avoid going to the office? And number four, you had a medical appointment and you had a certificate excuse from the doctor. Which one of these are a legitimate and good excuse for not going to the office? And I'll wait on the answer. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to take your answers. You can call me at 1-800-450-7876. 1-800-450-7876. And the first one that calls in, what I'm going to do, we're going to give you one of those free mailboxes from BLE. I would like to call them for you and have them to set you up with a free business address. That's going to help you with your brand. Somebody's going to be answering your phone, all that good stuff. So call the number here at the station, 1-800-450-7876, and see if you have the answer to our question of which one of those make a legitimate excuse for not going to the office. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our topic for the day. We're going to talk about the Christmas, getting ready, not Christmas, for the holiday season, which may include Christmas. So hang on, don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'll be right back in a moment. Hey. We're on break at Radio One, but thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to hear from our sponsor, BLE. So hang on a second. right, we are back. Are you tired of working for the man? Folks, let me tell you something. There's a better way. You can start a business, and the marketing pulpit is here to help you fulfill that mission. That's right. We are the Business Development Show, and we join you every Friday at 10:30 a.m. right here on the Marketing Pulpit Show on radio broadcasting live all over the world through the platform of Radio 1, 95.9 FM, WOL, and 1450 AM. You can also listen to the show live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter. You can also go to marketingpulpit.com and catch the show live. So you want to get this information. If you wonder why I have these white things in my ear, those are earbuds because I'm talking to the engineer at Radio 1. And so we got this technology thing going this morning to make sure we get this information on as many platforms as possible. We have a question on the table. If anybody wants to join in and get a free set of free business address from BLE, you can answer our question that's on the table. I also want to talk about a couple other items in the news before we jump into our marketing sermon for the day. And this next story really distresses me to no end. Migos rapper Takeoff was shot. 28. He was 28 years old in a bowling alley in Houston. He was part of a trio of singers, very popular group. Takeoff and Takeout and one other guy. They were very popular in the rap community. And he was at a bowling alley. Some stories said he was in a dice game. Man, but I'm so tired of this story. It just keeps happening. It's like every week there is another rapper being shot. If you don't believe me, just flip back. You just listen. Go back and listen to some of these past shows. And it's the same story over and over again. I'm just going to put a question out here because when are gangster rappers, going to figure out that they're being used? How many more dead bodies do we have to step over before they wake up? This is getting so old. Shooting your brother is not cool. It's suicidal. You're doing somebody else's dirty work. There are some folks that simply don't want us on this planet to begin with. And you are making it easier for them. They don't have to do it. We're doing it to ourselves. And gangster rappers, you are a tool. If you're preaching this filth, this misogyny, sexism, and death, you're really killing your own people. Now, in the way they got it worked out now, so you go through this, you spew all this hate and death and sexism, then you clean yourself up, they give you a movie deal and a cooking show. Okay, but how many dead bodies did you leave in your wake? How many corrupt young minds did you leave? People, we have to be smarter than this. So that's my message to the gangster rappers. We can do better. Let's not keep repeating this same story over and over again every week. I don't have all the details of what's happening with the case with Takeoff. But in general, if you're spitting out this degrading message, poisoning the young minds in our community, that is the end result. All right, let's see what else is going on. Twitter has told its staff to work 84 hours a week. That's a lot of work, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, we all know that Elon Musk is taking over Twitter. He's the executive who started Tesla, and now he bought Twitter for $44 billion. Interesting data is that since he bought it, the use of the N-word on the Twitter platform has increased by 500%. Now, of course, he said that, well, we're going to put together some type of council to moderate it, but that's not the way you want to start things off. I'm telling you. And of course, Kanye is still in the news. He was dumped by Adidas, Gap, Foot Locker for using anti-Semitic terms, and he doubled down on it. And he's coming back to the Black community. He's saying, look, hey, I know how it feels to have a knee put on your neck. Boy, that train is never late. People leave the community, go out here and degrade us and spit on us and throw us under the bus. And then when the enemy turns on you, you come back to the community. That's another train that's never late. Happens every time. So to all of Tim Scotts and Herschel Walkers and Clarence Thomases of the world, your time is coming. I hate to say it. And like always, we'll be here to open your back, soothe you, bandage your wounds, and accept you back into the community. Or will we? Don't count on it. All right, folks, let's get to our sermon for today. This the season, we say to be jolly. We just finished with October Halloween. And to many, that's the kickoff of the holiday season. So if you all got all that candy, the Snickers bars and the Twix, those Twix, they're so good. I have a bag over here right now, some Twix and Snickers and Slim popcorn, and had to throw that in there, I guess, for gotta have something somewhat healthy. So what you want to do is this time of year is to start thinking down the road. And it's not always about getting sales, it's about business development. Okay, we have Christmas, we have Kwanzaa, we have a lot of other seasons that are not related to religion or different religions. So I just want to give you some tips on some things that you should be doing as a business. Number one is keep safety in mind at all times. Don't assume that everybody's have turned off or ready to go back to work, and that some people still want to wear their mask. So keep that in mind in your business and make that be available to accommodate people who are still a little cautious about COVID-19. Also, the scams are out here. They are running crazy. They were running crazy before the pandemic and before the holiday season, but now you have the two running together. So as a company, you want to make sure that your company is what we call risk averse. So on your website, make sure you have things like your SSL certificate, anything that can, any type of certification, such as a CAGE code given by SAM.gov, things like MB certificates or Better Business Bureau, because people are going to be nervous about shopping online. They want to make sure that you are a credible and legitimate company. So anything you can do to put them at ease, make sure you do that. You're going to be also, this is time of year people start sending out greeting cards and gifts to their clients and stakeholders. I would just say try to be inclusive because everybody is not Christian, everybody's not Muslim, everybody's not Buddhist. So try to be inclusive because there are some people in your database who may not celebrate the same holidays that you do. So you want to be a little, I don't want you to deny your faith, but do be cognizant that there are other faiths out here, and you don't kind of rub it in their face there. And be creative in your personal gifts, things like that. Don't be so, when I'm talking about gifts, when you're sending out to your clients, I would say quality is over quantity. If you have like some of your top 10, 15, 20 clients, sometimes instead of sending out 1,000 bland greeting cards, you might just focus on your top money makers and make sure that you appreciate them, show them that you appreciate what they've done for you during the year. This is also the time of year for parties. I would say parties are a good networking opportunity. You don't have to go to every party, and also use decorum when you go to these parties because your brand is on display. Don't leave the party with a lampshade on your head, and don't be the last one there drinking the place, trying to drink everybody under the table. Beware of things like sexism. So go to these parties, use them as business networking opportunities, but use decorum at all times. Your inventory and your products, supply chain issues still exist. So you may want to reduce the number of items you're trying to stock up on. Take your top sellers and make sure you have those in stock. You may want to start working on that today. Don't wait until right after Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve to start worrying about inventory. Start on that today to make sure you have your best sellers in stock. Also consider things like gift cards. Good thing about a gift card, it can be used anytime. They don't have to use it during the holiday season. That's going to cause you some inventory items. So stock them, start offering some gift cards on some of your best sellers. Also think about repurposing some of your products. In other words, they may not be a so-called holiday item, but you might repurpose them to give them a holiday context. That means you might put it in a different packaging and things like that. You also might want to think about bundling and packaging several items together to make them into a gift package. And it's a good opportunity to unload some of that excess inventory. It's a good time to send out those email blasts talking about services that you're offering during the holiday season, social media posts, and get that advertising out there. Places like Radio One, the Marketing Pulpit Show. Make sure the people understand that you're in business and that you're up to the challenge for this holiday season. Anything you're doing differently, like reduced hours, let people know in advance. Include them in your ad. And also, this is a good time to start giving. PR is a good way. Don't overdo the working at the soup kitchen and things like that, because sometimes that looks a little insincere. But do it not because you're trying to get a free photo out. Do it because it's in your heart, and people will discover it, whether you post it on Facebook, Instagram, or not. Go out here and give, and make sure that everybody understands that you are a true giver. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'll be back next week and share this show with others. You can go back to marketingpulpit.com and listen to the show again. And we'll be back next week right here on Radio One, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn for the Marketing Pulpit Show. And if you want to find, as I say always when I close out my show, if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good of marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show, because we're on a mission. Before you curse the darkness, feel around in your pocket. See if you have a candle to light and light your way out of that darkness. Complaining is just not going to do it. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm telling you. Nobody cares about your complaint. I don't. I want you to do something about it. I'm concerned, but if you're not doing anything to light that candle, nobody gives a flying, you know what. All right. So the next time you find yourself facing doom, gloom, complain, get out your matches, find you a candle, and just light your way out of it. Is it going to be easy? Not always, but I tell you what, you're more likely to get some type of result than sitting there complaining and cursing the darkness. Light the candle. So don't be so quick to pull the plug on us. We make one little small mistake. Now I don't expect or ask anybody to lower their expectations just because they're dealing with a black business. No. What I'm doing is asking you black businesses to step it up. Exceed expectations. Don't just do enough to get by. Our community demands it and deserves it. And they will reward you. I know I will. Every chance I get.